I don't know how this is not gonna be awkward.
That's how we don't make
Maybe
it awkward.
it's always gonna be awkward for us.
Probably.
Maybe.
So, 3, 2, 1, and...
Welcome to another Monday of
No one gets away with anything.
Today with you we are
Ariana Lopez and...
Jose Rafael Ochoa Neri.
I like how we switched the name
I
thing.
know, I was gonna say like new season.
This season is going to be different. We're gonna do things different, okay?
We're gonna do things better. And that's what we're gonna talk
Who
about
said
today.
better?
We're gonna do it differently, and different is good. And I think different is gonna be better than last year.
Okay. I
Bueno.
think it's gonna be more fun.
Also.
Probablemente.
First of all, I think you can tell if you're watching this video, we have video now. You can see us.
Yes. Como cuando la televisión vino a color.
Exacto.
Wow.
Now our
revolución.
faces like move with our voices,
We
which
have
did
faces.
not happen before.
Bueno, pasó hace muy poco que mi mamá conoció a Ariana y me dijo, wow, qué extraño ponerle una cara a la voz. Como que en verdad no había visto quién eras en realidad. So, welcome to our faces.
Welcome to our faces. Y bueno, o sea, es como que nos han visto en Instagram y tal, pero no es lo mismo que nos vean recording
For real.
for real and for... And, o sea, algo también es distinto. We didn't record like this before. It's not like we had a beautiful setup like this and everything was absolutely
I used
planned.
to be dirtier.
Sí,
Tipo, podíamos estar en cualquier estado mientras we recorded.
absolutamente. Era como que we just need to be together, have Jose's iPad, and then we didn't even use the microphones for most of the episodes
Most
before.
of the episodes, yeah. We recorded one episode with microphones. And you can listen to the different. It's the one about music.
Exactly. So basically, we just wanted to share how excited we are about all these new things happening right now.
Yeah. It's very, o sea, creo que se pueden dar cuenta, es muy Venezuelan background with like a lot of books and stuff. Quiero que sepan que we came up with this
Very, very not long ago.
like 20 minutes ago. We were like, huh, this table looks nice and this painting looks, this picture looks nice behind us. How about we make it the podcast studio? And I was like,
Exacto.
sure.
O sea, porque les vamos a contar. O sea, ya que estamos de vuelta, como que season 2. Jose y yo, we wrapped up with 11 episodes
Yeah.
last season, and we were very happy with what we got. The feedback that we got, the things that we achieved. Pero, you know, we want to do like another pack of episodes, the second season, and we want to do it differently, we want to do it better.
Not only that, they're going to be odd numbers forever because I like bothering people. I know it's like, I saw it for the first time. Vi que eran tipo 11 episodios y dije que that's what I want. I want people to like...
Be pissed at the fact that we're not going to release 12 or 10. It's going to be 11.
11. Or, well, we'll see how many these season are.
Pero bueno, básicamente es eso. O sea, dijimos, bueno, esta temporada queremos traer a más gente. So you will be, hopefully...
Seeing a guest sooner
seeing...
rather than
yeah.
later. Yeah.
We wanted a video. We wanted you guys to see us. We wanted to have a proper setup to become like more of a serious type of podcast.
We wanted you to be able to see us on YouTube.
Exacto.
Which is weird because, like, why? But yeah, we wanted you to see us on YouTube.
Y bueno, básicamente welcome to No One Gets Away With Anything, Season 2.
I have a cup with my name on it, my last name on it. And she's drinking from a Rick and Morty cup.
It's a very delicious coffee that Jose made for me not so long ago.
Yeah,
Sí.
I don't drink coffee, and so Ariana was like immediately surprised. She was like, "Why is this coffee so good?" And I was like, "Well, my dad drinks coffee, and my sister's a barista, so I know how to make good coffee." Yeah, my sister's a barista for a long time. Well, she's no longer a barista, but like she.
Bueno, thanks to your sister's like advice in your mind. O sea, yo le digo a Jose como que, bueno, I like coffee with milk and stuff. And he's like, I have two options. I have vegetable milk and normal one. So I'm like, sí, dámelo normal. And then he goes like, if I don't warm it up, my sister's gonna kill me. So before pouring the milk in my coffee, he was like, I'm gonna pour in a different cup so I can warm it up. Guess what? Please tell us the story.
The milk was bad, and like my sister's anger at like cold milk just saved her cup of coffee, which was awesome.
Yeah.
It was really like, oh, those things that, you know, the destiny just like takes away from you. Y fue muy cómico porque después fue como que, bueno, Ariana estaba como que, ¿sabes? Nunca probó la leche de arroz.
Menos en el café, era como que if I'm gonna have a good coffee, I wanna make sure it's gonna be good.
Exacto, you're gonna
no,
stick
I
with
wanna
the,
risk
los
it.
tiros al piso, pues.
Exacto.
Y literalmente le dije como que, trust me, vaina, lo puse en un cup con... Y lo calenté porque es un special machine, you can warm up the milk. Y se lo serví by pouring it basically most of it on the floor. Se lo di y fue tipo, oh,
Está buenísimo.
Estaba muy bueno.
Tipo, es exactamente lo que necesitaba. Así que...
Y lo que necesitaba básicamente to come back. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Oh.
Coming back. Yeah, you see what I did there? Ah, very nice.
I was very surprised. Okay, so we came up with this idea because basically...
I didn't come up with it. She came up with it.
We are going to talk about it because right now we're in a stage of our life in which comebacks are very present. I'm going to give my explanation of how I perceive comebacks and what does it mean to me. En español, how do you say a comeback? Like?
Una vuelta.
Sí, es volver.
La vuelta al cole.
La vuelta al cole. El Corte Inglés. Tienes descuento, te dan la tarjeta. We're not going to talk about that.
Okay.
So basically, we were discussing, like, okay, what can we talk about on the podcast? And I was like, at least for me right now, there's many things that after summer, I came back to them. O sea, volví a mi rutina en Madrid, vamos a retomar el podcast, estoy retomando la universidad. Hay muchas cosas que eran parte de mi rutina el año pasado, se pusieron en pausa por unos 2-3 meses, and now they're coming back. Y it's had really like an interesting impact in my mental health, and I wanted to discuss it with José.
Okay, what is the impact on your mental health that this has had?
Okay, I want to start by the basic story. Y bueno, creo que te la conté ya. Es como, last year when I came with my parents, it was like, I was terrified. O sea, pero I couldn't picture myself being happy in such a foreign scenario to me, right? I didn't know how my school was going to be. I'd never lived alone before, sorry.
Alone by myself.
Madrid had always been a city that I'd visited, but I'd never pictured myself living in it except for, just the destiny brought me here. So last year, even if there were many positive things happening, as in me starting a new phase of my life, I don't think I was able to enjoy the whole moving in process and starting it. I was just very scared of it.
Totally understandable.
Y I couldn't really, ¿sabes? Como que iba a la universidad y está siempre ansiosa, está sola en mi casa y está siempre ansiosa, como I could not enjoy the beautiful things about living on your own.
Claro, aparte es como que you're starting to be able to juggle all these things and you just don't want to fuck. Literalmente es como que no la quiero cagar.
No la quieres cagar.
Y es horrible. I know that feeling.
Y otra cosa que me pasaba mucho es que I did not want to be alone. I could spend, o sea, yo voy a pasar todo el día en la universidad con tal de no pasar una tarde libre en mi casa. For me that was not conceivable y no me hacía feliz en lo absoluto. Y este año volví. Y I had pretty much the same dynamic than last year with my parents. We came, compramos algunas cosas para mi apartamento, al igual que el año pasado, hicimos algunos trámites, compramos comida. Fue basically the same thing.
No, lo típico. Your parents, they buy you furniture, they do your laundry for you, they buy you some food, they
like,
give you a kiss and they like
let's
leave.
go eat restaurants and
Exactly.
stuff. Es que el año pasado estaba tan nerviosa que salía a comer con mis papás y it was like torture. I could never...
You had to sit still for an hour.
Sí. Mis pensamientos eran como que, are you so silly that you believe you're going to be able to be quiet and happy for a stable period of time?
Damn.
No. Entonces, este año, it was not like that. Everything else was the same, but I was a completely different person. And that's what the comeback taught me. It taught me how much I've changed. And I think that's beautiful.
Okay, I want to make a recommendation. There's a really good song called The Comeback Kid. Listen to it if you're ever like coming back to something and you're not really sure if you're going to do well or not. The Comeback Kid. It's a really good song. And it's about, the kid is back. He's back on track. That's it. O sea, entiendo perfecto. Mi mamá llevaba 3 años sin venir a Madrid a visitarme.
¿Tú no habías visto a tu mamá?
Yo no había visto a mi mamá hace 3 años.
So it's not only that she hadn't come, it's that you hadn't seen her.
Sí. Entonces, para mí, it was like, I had this day, which was awesome. It was like, those days que son tipo perfectos. O sea, ya había empezado la universidad. And so, una de las cosas que pasa when you're coming back es que hay un periodo entre que termina el verano y empieza la universidad que es como que los dos al mismo tiempo. There's people that are still in Ibiza and your parents are here still visiting and you're already like having deadlines y como que you're staying up till 4 a.m. but you have class at 8 y es como eso pasa mucho, especialmente justo esta parte tipo septiembre, comienzos de octubre incluso, es como que that time where like family's probably there with you. Y it's really fun porque, again, you go out to eat at restaurants, you have some quality time with your family, etc. Y para mí fue un verano emocional en ese sentido. Como que I had a lot of connection with my family. My siblings and my mother and I, we went on a trip to Germany. And we were together all in the same place for the first time in 5 years. Like, all of us together for a long period of time. Y una de las cosas que me pasó, unos días antes de... Hace 4 días más o menos, el día antes que se fuera mi mamá de vuelta a Venezuela... Fuimos a cenar con mi madrina en un restaurante divino, increíblemente bueno. I really recommend that restaurant. It's really cool.
¿Cómo se llama?
Ornella.
Okay.
Queda como por Velázquez. And it was, really nice. We sat down to eat. Y mi madrina is like, a really great businesswoman,
Okay.
and she has that New York walk, talk big,
Like
¿sabes?
the vibe, okay.
Y es tipo, mi mamá y mi tía son las 2 mujeres con mejor estilo que yo conozco ever. Las amo. Y tuvimos una conversación de estas conversaciones como que a ti y a mí nos pasa, que sometimes we have such good and like intense conversations que te dejan los pelos de punta y terminas tipo... mi madrina al día siguiente me dice, José, I like couldn't sleep. Like I was so like eye-opened and like...
Overstimulated.
My mom said the same thing. Like she had to make her bag for the trip. Y me dijo, terminé a la 1 de la mañana y...
I could have kept going. Sí. ¿Y de qué hablaron?
Hablamos de todo, hablamos de la vida, hablamos de tipo de lo que me ha pasado a mí, de lo que tengo que hacer yo para mi año que viene, de las cosas que les han pasado a ellas en su vida. Like it was very intimate, very interesting. Y una de las cosas que me pasó fue como que, oh, this is the last night that I'm going to spend with my mom for a long time. Y literalmente, o sea, el restaurante queda relativamente cerca de casa de mi novia. Y le di un abrazo a mi mamá y a mi tía que se fueron al apartamento y yo me fui por el otro lado. And like, as soon as I walked the block, I just burst into tears.
¿De verdad?
Y caminé tipo llorando hasta casa de mi novia. But it was like a cathartic good. Entonces como que that's kind of what happens when you go back to routine. It's like you grab all your feelings and you're like, appreciate everything that you really do have. And then you say, put your bootstraps up, kid, like, you gotta work again. Y es como que es una de las cosas que te quería mencionar. When you're saying come back, one of the things that you talk about in the experience is that you're a completely different person. The thing is that the routine that you have and the things that you do in your year, when you come back, that's what makes you a different person next year. So like, it's not only like coming back to something, it's making the plan to come back better.
Sí, total. Y eso es súper emocionante. I think that's why it's beautiful to talk about it. Porque, por ejemplo, de lo mío, I had things that I enjoyed doing and things that I did not. Por ejemplo, estar sola en mi casa, para mí era, te lo juro, de las peores cosas que me podía pasar. Después, bueno, como que I had my boyfriend and things started to get better. Tenía más compañía, incluso en momentos más íntimos. Pero estar sola y disfrutarlo, me costó un montón. I think it hadn't really happened until now that I came back. O sea, es como que llego a mi casa, I'm happy to be home and to be alone. Y I can enjoy like doing my dishes, cleaning my house, even without having a podcast in the background, porque eso es algo que siempre hago. I don't know if you do it as well, pero I'm doing the dishes y tengo el cuartico.
Ariana, you know me. Yo no estoy escuchando a Jordan Peterson. Exacto. I'm not alive at the moment. You know?
Entonces, ahora, I want to make space for that. Before, if I had space for it, lo ocupaba en otra cosa, y ahora, I want my routine to have space for that to happen.
Yeah.
Creo que, por ejemplo, también las dinámicas de mi relación han cambiado para mejor, and I'm very happy about it. Es como que I used to dedicate time to it before, and I still dedicate time to it now, pero differently, you know? Because I am different, and I have different priorities, and my relationship has evolved. We have, like, settled the grounds of it. Y me pasa lo mismo. I want to spend time with my family, but now I can, like, plan it in advance. I don't need to be in company. So I think there was a complete flip in the approach that I had towards how I wanted to plan my week. Y mis prioridades se han como rearranged because I'm a different person.
Yeah. I had this similar experience. Last year, the past 2 years, for reasons that I will not detail in the podcast, I was never alone at home. Ever. Like, I avoid, not because I didn't like being alone, but because
you couldn't.
Las circunstancias se dieron para que no pudiese estar solo por mucho tiempo. For very good reasons. Like, when you start a relationship, you tend to dedicate a lot of time to it.
Sí.
Y como que la intensidad de una relación que acaba de empezar, es normal que pases demasiado tiempo juntos. Yo trabajaba... One of the things, and we've talked about this before, we talked about it last week when we did the meeting. We meet, like, before we start doing everything, we plan and say, how are we going to surprise these people? Yes. And we did that. People. I was going to say a very bad word.
I know, I figured.
And like, I sat down and I thought, look, what did I do last year? What was last year for? And I remember that one of the things that Jordan Peterson says a lot and that I really like is that your 20s are a good time to try stuff. And people generally take it as, you know, drink as much as you can, do the drugs that you wouldn't do, and like have polyamorous relationships if you can. And I'm not that kind of person, not merely because no sé, simplemente como que no va conmigo. Y una de las cosas que dije fue como que, pero mis 20 tienen que ser tratar cosas igual. Y decidí y dije... Explotarme. Y dije, I'm going to work as hard as humanly possible this year. Like, I'm going to see how much I can actually work without dying. And so I signed up for working 20 hours a week, giving English classes. I started 2 podcasts. I studied 15 hours a week. It was my last year organizing Model UN. And then I had something else to do. Which I don't...
Universidad?
The university. I studied for 15 hours a week, 20 hours a week of work. I had 2 podcasts.
A relationship.
And a relationship, which, yeah. And then, like, my life, like, time for me. You can imagine I didn't sleep much last year, which was fun.
I can certify.
Yes. And, the last thing I did was at the end of the year, like, well, for me, the year goes with school year. So, in August, July... I went to camp. I went to el campamento de la Llanada, Amor a Llanada. Me fui 5 semanas a trabajar en la Llanada. And it was awesome, but I was already burnt out when I got there, you know? And I just turned up the heat. Porque fueron 5 semanas a acostarme relativamente tarde, despertarme temprano, hacer ejercicio bajo el sol, a veces... Estás tan apurado como que, ay, hoy no desayuné porque estaba cuidando a alguien y como que no me dio chance. And like you forget to take care of yourself really well when you're occupied with other things. And I didn't collapse in a bad way. I just I reached a point where it was like, okay, I feel sick. It was like, oh, that's it. This is the limit. And I got to it. And it was like, whoa, this is the limit. This is how much I can work and not die.
This is not... We don't mean that we
I don't recommend this to anyone, yes.
Very important to
definitely.
highlight. Okay, but now I have questions about it. Like, for example, you chose the past year for it to be that year for you.
Yeah.
Right? But at the same time, that's exactly the same year you've been with your girlfriend.
But the thing is, I didn't choose to just do it. I chose to do it before I chose to be with my girlfriend.
Claro, pero and then my question is like, how did you juggle with it?
I always say that, and I don't mean this in a bad way, I feel like being single is living life on easy mode. Let me explain.
Yeah, we've said it before.
Yeah, I've said it before. It's like, well, you're going to live the rest of your life, probably speaking with a partner and probably a dependent or 2. May that be a cat, a dog, or children, or both, or more things. But the point is, even if you don't have children, and even if you don't have like a long-term partner, you're going to have your parents. And if they don't take care of themselves correctly for X, Y, and Z, it'll probably be you or your brother's responsibility to take care of them. Or at least, maybe not their responsibility because adults live their own life, pero probablemente sea como que tu burden. ¿Sabes? O sea, ¿cuántos de nosotros no conocemos a nuestros papás cuidando de nuestros abuelos de alguna manera u otra? Como que es una etapa de la vida. Y para mí, no es una excusa tener una relación para no trabajar lo más duro posible. Como para no make my experiment through it. If that was it, then, you know, I would be like, oh, I'm learning the guitar, so I'm going to stop podcasts. It's like, no, it's like, well, it's one more thing.
Claro, pero... No, es que lo entiendo, pero for example, like, don't you think there was a point... Did you never feel like you did not have enough time to have a relationship?
I felt like I didn't have enough time for anything for a year, but at the same time, my relationship was the thing that would let me breathe in a lot of fresh air. Like, there was a couple of things. The podcast, okay? Para que lo sepan ustedes, yo lo he dicho antes, recording is something that just...
It's therapy for us.
Yeah, it just makes me breathe in. It's awesome. And then my girlfriend was also this. Like, mi novia y yo hablamos and have a type of communication and relationship that lets me not only be truly myself, but trust that she won't do anything that I wouldn't like without having a good reason for it. And the same thing on my side. And so my relationship was just an island, and the podcast was another island on like a lot of stress and work.
And a big ocean of chaos.
Yes, that's really Jordan Peterson of you. In a big
Really?
ocean of chaos, yes.
I know. Came up by myself.
Chaos and order, yes, totally.
Pero bueno. No, I think
What about you?
What?
What about this year? What are your islands in the ocean of chaos that you're going to undertake?
Okay. My relationship, I think, is one of them. My family.
Definitely.
Podcast. It's like, for example, today was our first day recording for this season and everything. And even if we dedicate lots of time and energy to it, I genuinely enjoy it. O sea, José y yo nos disfrutamos como no tienen idea, armar el setup and like come up with the topic. And o sea, es que nosotros we arrive to see each other y inconscientemente we make a podcast out of each one of our conversations. O sea, we could have recorded the meeting we had last week.
It would have been a bad episode.
And it would have been a beautiful episode because also his mom was here.
Yeah, I thought about it. We were about to record it because like my mom was there, and it was like I really want to record an episode with my mom because she's an amazing person. And Ariana thought about it too. And we were talking about something before, and we were like, why don't we record this as an episode? And it was like everything we talk about becomes an episode because
I think it's the nature of our minds when we come together.
My dad told me today, how did you meet her? Y le dije, it's weird. I kind of didn't meet her, and she kind of never met me either. It was like we knew each other for some reason.
But the thing, I also think about it often. It's like, people ask me like, but how did you and Jose come to this? And I'm like, I knew Jose from Caracas very like sporadically.
Yeah. Same.
Like we met in very random circumstances,
like
over and over again, but like very scattered around.
If this was Caracas, like Ariana was over there and I was over here, and I kind of could see her, but she kind of couldn't see me.
Exacto.
It was weird.
Then like he appeared in my path a couple of times and I appeared in his a couple of times. Y después, in Madrid, like a month after I'd arrived, there was a concert.
Yes, Anaquena.
So in the middle of a concert, he sees me. He's like, oh, hello, this is my girlfriend, porque me acuerdo. Tipo, that's the day I met Marie. And he's like, you know what? I've been having an idea, and I think you're the perfect person for what I've been thinking about. And I was like, oh, fair enough, let's do it.
She was like, I'm on board. And
I was like, if you want to do it, I'm on board. Like, I would not only be willing to it, it would be a pleasure for me to help you with it.
Yeah, but it was really funny. I thought this girl has to be drunk.
Like, and I don't drink.
Yeah, I don't drink either. I'm not drinking either at the moment.
Y bueno, we didn't, like, that was in October or something, and we didn't even talk until December.
And then we started recording.
Y después, in January, we came back, and he texted me like, okay, it's time to start. And he sent me a list of, I'm not kidding, 50 topics. Because
back before quarantine even, I had a lot, like, I took a year after high school to study for university exams. Me tomé un año para estudiar para la selectividad because like getting into public university in Spain is difficult. And I had a lot of free time because when I wasn't studying for my subjects, I literally just had time. And I watched everything I could, I read everything I could, and I had a lot of ideas. And if you don't have Notion, download Notion. It's an amazing app. And I had this idea to write a podcast. And the podcast was always going to be something like, it kind of became two podcasts, which are the ones that I have right now, because it was something about, the ability to think even when people don't want you to or don't think that you can. And then I had a bunch of topics that I wanted to discuss in that podcast. And then those became the topics for this podcast, and the other podcast became more freeform. But about meeting you, actually, it's because we have a person in common who is very intellectual. And like, I knew that because you knew this person, I would be able to have like really deep conversations with you. And you could either be like the worst kind of person possible or the best kind of person possible. And I was like,
we have to try.
I wanted to talk to you.
Figure it out.
And I talked to you at the concert, and you said hi to me like we've met each other 1,000 times, which venezolanos hacemos. True, but you talked to me for like 15 seconds, and in like a second you said, I'm on board. And I was like, this is an amazing person. Let's do this.
But who's the person you're talking about?
Carlos.
Ah, okay. Because like the thing is, o sea, nosotros coincidimos en bachillerato, I remember. Like, because a friend of mine...
World School Debate Championship.
No, before that.
Before that?
A friend of mine you like, o sea, tipo second year of high school or something like that.
Okay. ¿Quién?
Daniela.
Oh, Danny, of course, yes.
Entonces,
I dated a friend of hers for a
pero
little bit.
did you date?
I would call it dating in the American style of dating.
Bueno,
Like
X. That's the first time I met you. Y después como que your name kept appearing every once in a while. And then there was something, World Schools Debating Championship.
Yeah, I was part of the organizing committee. And then we were an organizing committee looking for a team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we were an organizing team looking for a competing team.
Exacto.
And so once we got the final team, she was in
Exacto.
it, you know?
Yeah, that's super funny.
Yeah, it was. You know, all of my Fridays when I was in my last year of high school, I spent there, just like working on that, and then everyone would leave for like a party or something.
Mm-hmm. And it worked. Like, bueno, la única generación que lo sacó adelante, it was yours.
We were the only, like, nadie nunca, o sea, Venezuela nunca, World School Debate Championships es un evento de debate a nivel internacional. And like every single country is invited to go, but like not, like the only condition is that there has to be an organizing body that creates the teams. So a couple of high school students and I, basically the idea was of a friend of mine, you know, Cardenas, he's awesome. He got me and one of my best friends, Hondeo Carrizo, involved. And he was like, you guys are some of the best people in MUN. He also called a really good friend of mine too, Nicolas Mazzucchelli. And he said, like, the three of us are going to do this. And we're going to make this happen. And we brought a bunch of people in for the project, including his sister. He coded the entire website. And then we did a couple events. And we did it in like the worst possible conditions. Like Venezuela had like the power outage of a century. There were protests. A bunch of stuff happened. And yet we still did it. And then the team came out and they went to compete in Sri Lanka, which was crazy because Sri Lanka had been bombed 2 months before.
The story from my side is more or less like this. I did, as we said before, I did lots of MUN before.
Yeah.
Y también I knew you from MUN.
Oh.
That's another link we had.
Yeah, true.
And then my MUN faculty, there was one time he told me,
Gregory Hines, an amazing person as well.
I love you, Gregory. He got married.
You got married. Congratulations! You got married. Oh my god!
I went to the wedding. It was beautiful. I cried. Awesome. I cried my eyes up. But
we're talking about so many people. I love this.
I was in an MUN reunion after the international competition and everything, and he's like, "There's a debate team that's going to Sri Lanka. You should apply." And I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like in my head, it was, how is it coherent that a random group of people is getting together another random group of people to send them to the most random place in the world to debate.
Yeah.
I was like, that doesn't sound very convincing to me. So you did a first round of like...
Yes, it was in the Escuela Campo Alegre at Caracas.
So they did a first round of like competitors and stuff, and I didn't go to that one.
And it was really difficult because of the power outage. We had like 200 people signed up, and because of the power outages, like 35% of the people came. And most of the organizers, which we were still organizing, had to compete. And it was hell, you know. It was really difficult to do.
And then there was a second calling to which I did attend, and that day there was literally no electricity. Like we did it at British.
Yeah, the British School of Caracas. And the reason why we did it there was because the advantage that they had is that their water pump was on top of the building, and so we had running water independent of whether or not we had electricity. It was really hot that day. I remember a lot of people came out sweating. I couldn't even make it because it was in the other side of the city and I couldn't get there and because of the power outages. But it turned out really great, and it actually let us see who were the best 4 candidates for it.
Yeah, like all the 4 of us were there. Yeah. All the 4 of us that ended up going were there. So yeah, basically, and then we had
a meeting with your parents too.
Because imagine if I thought it was out of my mind to think that they were gonna send me to Sri Lanka to debate. Imagine how would I convince my parents to let me go to Sri Lanka to debate and pay for the trip.
Not only that, it was like, hey parent, we're a group of teenagers 1 year older than your child. Can we take them to Sri Lanka? It was weird.
And we didn't even have like an adult that would come to the trip with us.
We found one actually through Carlos. Carlos Egaña. He wrote a book called Reggaeton. Go buy it. It's awesome. Basically what we did was I called up as much people as I knew from the MUN world, para los que no lo sepan, si no son de Venezuela, el mundo de Naciones Unidas en Venezuela es muy grande y hay muchísimas conexiones ahí. My sister went to Harvard and to H-Moon.
¿De verdad?
Yeah.
I didn't know your sister was an MUN.
Yeah, well, my sister met Gregory in at MUN, and Gregory helped her get the job at your school. And that's how they became really good friends. The point being, I knew a lot of people from the MUN world who were a lot older than me, and those are the kinds of people that you send to go with you to Boston or Washington or Sri Lanka, if you do any of that. And so we met this guy, and he was really nice. Rubén Darío. Yeah, it was really funny because Rubén Darío is actually a really famous poet, and then there's Rubén Darío, this guy, and he's actually a poet, which was really cool.
Is he?
Yeah. I got to talk to him a lot. I was the one who selected
My coach.
My coach, yeah, your coach.
Bueno, exactly. So by then, the only responsible adult was Ruben, and Ruben was like 2 years older than me, 1 year older than Jose.
Yeah.
And he was like very messy human being. Very smart, but very messy human being.
He was a good coach, not necessarily the best chaperone.
Exactly. So it was very like...
Stressful?
Sketchy. But yet, they managed to convince our parents to pay for the trip, let us go, and support us in everything that we needed.
Yeah, we did. We gave it was Juan Diego, Victor, and I. We gave a pretty rousing speech. Victor and Juan Diego came in with some real details, and I just got him on the emotions there, and I think we did it pretty well. And I could not have asked for a better team. We met each other every Friday, and we bickered sometimes, and we had trouble with stuff, but like that's the best team that I've ever worked with. Like the amount of talent on those heads is amazing.
Absolutamente, I completely agree.
You're like crazy.
So yeah, that was a very big accomplishment from them.
And like I remember reading your file, we had files for every single person that was going to compete, and I remember reading your file. That's also probably one of the reasons why it's like I trust you wholeheartedly. I spent a year building a process to create good people, and you came out of that process, and it's like, of course I trust you.
Okay, they made an Juan Diego me entrevistó, like they made an interview first, but I don't remember if you were there.
No, I didn't go to the interviews. Again, I was in charge.
It was a whole selection process. Honestly, it was very impressive.
It was the selection process for you guys, and I did the entire selection process of every single judge that came in. So every single person that judged you guys in competition was trained in some way, shape, or form by me, or by Victor. So it was awesome.
No, honestly, me quito el sombrero por lo que hicieron. Porque también era un formato de competencia que nunca habíamos hecho. Nobody knew how it really worked. So
Victor
they had to
was the
study
only one who had competed there, in that format. Victor Ricky Trinca, which is another amazing person.
Trinca, pero es que Trinca había hecho British Parliament. Creo.
Yeah, and it's a type of debating that at least most of us in that room had never done before. So yeah.
We ended up going to Thailand because Sri Lanka had a terrorist attack. So they changed
the venue
of the event. And he took me to Thailand.
Yeah. Before I actually met her. Take that out of context, will you, YouTube?
And then we're here.
Yes. And that's like my dad told me that today. I was like, yeah, that's what coming back is.
Exactly. It's like when your mom was here, we were talking about it, and she was like, everything is a cycle. Like no matter what, like how many things happen in between, you end up coming back to the same places, and that's something like.
And it's probably that you come back to the places where you haven't mastered yet, or that you need. So, más o menos así. Mi mamá es una persona demasiado espiritual, and one of the things she talks about, I don't know if she believes in it, but she talks about it a lot, is reincarnation. And she says that you come back because you have a lesson to learn. And it's generally not a beautiful lesson. It's generally a lesson you have to make beautiful. Wow, that's so poetic. And it's something like, well, I'm not good at losing. And so you become a professional soccer player, and then you lose a final. And then you have to get back up to win again. You know what I mean? It's a challenge, a real challenge. And I don't believe in reincarnation. At least, I don't think I do. I might be wrong. Nunca digas agua no beberé. But what I do believe is in cycles. And I think that when it happened to me when I took a year to study for my tests here in Spain. I didn't take a year because I wanted to. I took a year because I failed math. And I failed math in high school my last year. I failed math at school. I passed it with barely passed it. And then I went to do my exam to get into Spanish university. Didn't pass by 4,
Yeah, like
four
décimas.
4 decimas. Wow, yeah, thank you. And then I had to spend an entire year working on it until like I got an 8.5 out of 10 and I got in. But the world just wouldn't let me forget it till I like saw it completely.
Till you faced the monster.
Till I faced the monster.
And now he's studying something that doesn't have anything to do with math.
Actually, it does. I do a lot of fucking statistics.
Stats.
Which is, but we study more or less the same thing too.
Sí, exacto. Yeah, we have lots of things in common.
Yeah, but it is true. People. It is true that in general, I probably won't see math like a big math subject ever again in my life. So it's kind of like that cycle's not like I will never reincarnate into that. At least I don't think so. But again, nunca dejes agua no beberé.
Veremos. We'll end up seeing you like you end up working like, I don't know, engineering company or something like that.
I would love to actually. What about
we'll
you?
See.
What cycle can you identify a pattern that you have that you need to get over?
No sé. Honestly, I cannot really think of it now, but I'm sure there's many that I'm not really seeing right now. But yeah, like when Jose's mom was here, by the way, she has beautiful eyes. I did not know that you had.
And I got these.
She has like beautiful blue, greenish, big eyes, and I was like, wow, that's really amazing. It's impressive. And she was like, yeah, I would have loved to have a son with him. Yeah.
And I was like, well, sorry to disappoint you, Mom.
Maybe your children will have blue eyes.
Probably they will, and I will resent them for it. I'm kidding. I was, I've been listening to Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. And the way that he does his podcasting and everything, and the way that he can analyze his own life and make fun of it. And it did remind me a little bit of us today. I think today is us making a little bit of fun, poking fun at, how we met, coming back to school and everything. But I did want to, like, in all seriousness, ask you, what has been the hardest thing that you've done this last year that you would dread to have to do again, or that you might have to do again, something that you had to do last year, like I need to do this right, or I'm not going to do well. And then something that might just be your routine this year.
Contending with myself. As I was saying before, o sea, la razón por la que yo no quería pasar tiempo sola es porque estaba viendo cosas en mí misma que nunca había tenido la oportunidad de ver. Porque siempre estaba como caught up in doing lots of things. Que es más o menos la misma rutina que tenía José en bachillerato. O sea, nosotros éramos el tipo de personas que hacía todo en el colegio. Primero, we were top of our class. Or, yeah, very close to the top at least.
Yeah, I was pretty good. Not the top of my class. My class was full of geniuses. So I my grade was like, my average was like an 18.5, and I was the 22nd in my class.
¿De verdad?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Bueno, we were very good students. I think we both led the MUN project of our schools at some point.
Yeah.
When I did gaitas as well, which is like a performance that's very typical of Venezuelan high schools, and I did it for 3 consecutive years, and that consumes lots of time and energy.
You crazy.
Yeah, I did it for 3 years, though.
That's crazy.
And, well, in the meantime, you did World Schools Debating Championship.
And I had football.
And you did sports. I also, like, exercised a lot, especially with the dancing thing. Like,
I did boxing, too. I did kickboxing for 2 years.
And I think also something that we can relate, and what I think I saw from you, it's like people in your school, especially authorities, admired you as a student. Not all of them.
Yeah.
There were exceptions, but I'm sure you were the type of student that, for example, if your teacher saw you and there was a smaller student, they would be like, Jose's super smart, he's super dedicated, and that they wanted people to look up to you.
One of the well, you've read my text, Cancer. I'm going to post it up soon on I don't know, I'll post it somewhere. But I wrote that when I was in my last year, my next to last year of high school, and my English teacher, Miss Michelle, I love you. I don't know. I don't know if it was... No, it was Miss Carola. She read my text because my teacher showed it to her. Or, no, we had essay class with her. And she had seen it, and she had some other younger students. Like, they were, like, in... I don't know, segundo año de bachillerato. And I remember, most of them I gave MUN classes later. But she asked me to come into her classroom and read it for them. Which was, exactly what you mean. Like, it was like you were the kind of student that they will, that I want them to look up to. And I read it for them and I cried. It was horrible. It's the worst public speaking and yet most satisfying public speaking experience I've ever had.
Entonces a lo que voy es como que, por lo menos mi experiencia en bachillerato fue una experiencia en la que la gente me recalcaba lo bien que hacía las cosas.
Yeah.
Y muy rara vez, sí las hubieron. O sea, there were very few times in which people would be like, okay, you're doing this wrong. Or like, you're not being enough. Or you're not doing enough with what you have, right? So it's always been very hard for me to deal with critique. Still is, right? And not only it's hard for me to deal with critique, it's that I never really had the chance to evaluate what was wrong with myself. Even if that sounds bad, like, you just have to understand that you're not going to be completely right and completely perfect all the time.
Yeah.
And that's really, I think, the perception that I had of myself and that I wanted to build. Like, and I've said this before, I think. It's like, I wanted to be, and I was, a very good daughter. I was a very good student. I was a very good friend, and I'm very proud of it. But I never really allowed myself to understand what was inside. I just knew what I wanted to portray, and I was very good at it.
Yeah.
So then came the pandemic, right? And I had time, an amount of time that I'd never before in my life.
Like, you had more time than you can do anything with.
Exactly. And I used to tell my mom, like, I'm going crazy. I need to do something with my time. And she always reminded me of, it's good to have spare time, to not always be busy doing something. It's good that you just, like, lay down and watch a movie. I used to see movies as a waste of time. You know, it's like Netflix was the enemy of productivity in my head.
I wouldn't have liked you.
O sea, pero es que I was never against it. I enjoyed it every once in a while, pero for me
you couldn't understand how people just stuck their heads in there and never went out, yeah.
And it was never my first, my second, or my third choice when I had a block of time, which was not busy with something, right? Entonces, yo llego a Madrid, bueno, no, estoy en Caracas y estoy empezando a tener como que more time. And I have time to listen to myself and to understand what I really liked, to understand who I was, the people that loved me, the type of people that I loved. Como que there were many things that were like coming into place. Pero así como there were many things coming into place, there were many things that I didn't like. They were not aligned with the perfect student, girl, daughter type of situation, you know? And bueno, it started when I had to decide where I was going to go to uni, with my parents being very pro me staying in Caracas, and then my mind telling me, yes, you're gonna have lots of things there, but you should maybe try, you know, this other thing over here, because you never know what's gonna happen. And voila, I'm very happy that I did. Y bueno, también hubo muchas cosas sobre mi personalidad, who I was, who I wanted to be, my identity, the people I liked. Como que that I hated. I absolutely despised. Y being alone in my apartment was the perfect time for all those thoughts to, like, flourish, right? So that's why
bubble up in the front of your head, yeah.
Y me tomó un año, pues, o quizás un poco más, un poco menos, pero la única forma en la que esos pensamientos se fueron fue enfrentándolos. Y sabes, y quizás hubo muchos en los que no tuve que necesariamente hacer algo al respecto, sino simplemente decir, ok, esto está aquí, y if you try to make it go away, it's going to come back stronger. Y a veces uno tiene unas dudas existenciales o como que cosas en tu cabeza que you cannot really go out and prove if they're right or wrong. O sea, es como que, what if, what if I'm not going to be enough? You cannot open the door of your house, be like, I'm going to do X and Y, and then when I come back, I'm going to know the answer to it. You need time, you need experiences, bueno, that's what I think, right?
Yeah.
Entonces, I had to tell myself, for what you need right now is patience and bravery to see the thought, see the fear, be like, I don't like you. I really don't. But you're there, and I cannot really get rid of you, and I cannot really show you that you're wrong. But I cannot give you the certainty that you're strong and that you're right and that you're going to stay there forever, right? So it was more like, okay, let's make a deal.
Yeah, how are we going to make it so that we can live together?
Exactly. How are we going to coexist? Y creo que ese fue tanto mi mayor challenge como my biggest accomplishment from last year, and that's why I'm in peace right now, because I know my fears, like, I have the list, pero the list can be there and I can still be happy.
Yeah, you didn't become, the fear didn't become less, you became more brave.
Exactly.
Jordan Peterson would say that you slew the dragon, you know, and that you got the riches in the end, you know. I have a similar experience. My mom, hablando de mi mamá, dice que estamos en una época and the time in the world, we're going at like 200.
Sí, sí.
You know,
Es que lo hablamos la semana pasada.
yeah, we're going really, really, really fast. And sometimes you're just sitting down and you can't be quiet with yourself. You're just like, oh, I need to do the next thing, or I need to look at my phone, and like, ¿Quién no ha entrado en pánico cuando se le apaga el teléfono? For no reason. Like, you can have the Metro card that you need to get home, or your car has enough gasoline to get home, and like, nothing's going to happen if you don't have your phone on you, but you still get anxious.
You panic.
And then I had this experience with my guitar. Which is, I bought my guitar when I turned 19. My mom gave me, money, and she told me, buy whatever you want, but I want you to buy something for you. Like, I do not want you to use this on a party. I do not want you to use this for, like, I want you to use this for something you want for you. And I found this guitar on the internet and I just bought it. And I had played the ukulele, but I wasn't pretty good at that time. And I had no idea how to play the guitar. And I got the guitar and I effectively couldn't do anything on it. But I did it once. Like, I just put my fingers on it, tried to strum it a little bit, investigated, and I tried to do like the simplest chords, like a G shape or an A minor shape. And of course I failed miserably for like a year. And then I got a G string and I could do it correctly. And I had a lot of stuff to do. And so I couldn't dedicate a lot of time to it, but I kept coming back to it. And I'm 21 years old now. It's been about 2.5 years since I bought the guitar. And just when I came back this summer from camp, I sat down, and in order to play any real difficult song, you need a C chord and you need an F chord. And I just sat down and I could play them. And it was that incremental, just little by little, sitting down, trying it, getting a bit annoyed at it, and then like saying, okay, I'm going to try it again. You don't get it that time. And then you say, well, I'll try it again in a week. And then you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. And if you fall in love with that, you can do whatever you want. I've learned 3 instruments by now, and it's all been the same. It's falling in love with the idea that you're going to have to struggle a little bit. And when you come back, I'm at that point where I look at my year and I structure it so that I have a challenge, so that next year I can come back and fix something else. And it's getting to be freaking interesting. I don't know if that's
exciting. It's very exciting also. I think it's a beautiful story.
Oh my God, thank you.
So yeah, I think, for example, now that we're talking about these things, maybe my cycle is that. It's like being too scared to look inside.
Well, I think you tamed you. Like, you found a way to live with yourself, and that's something that you had to tweak. Like, it's not like I know how to play the guitar like I don't know, like Eddie Van Halen. Like, I need to learn more. Pero, like, I have enough so I can start walking. Exacto. You have enough so you can stop walking. Sí, La pregunta es, tipo, yo no voy a dejar de trabajar. O sea, yo aprendí a trabajar el año pasado. No voy a dejar de trabajar. I'm working 12 hours a week instead of 20. And that gives me enough time to focus on other things that I'm not doing right. Like, que tengo que aprender a hacer. Entonces, my question is, what do you want to do right this year?
For example, I think last year, this whole figuring it out took a lot of time and energy from me. O sea, me desconcentraba mucho en clase, me desconcentraba mucho en las actividades que me gustaban. I didn't even like to exercise anymore because, again, my mind was free para esas cosas. Y cuando estaba in school, it was the same. I was sitting on a chair and I could have a professor in front, but that doesn't mean that your mind cannot go elsewhere, you know? So what I want to do right this year is, like, I want to be myself again. So I want to exercise properly because I enjoy it. I want to go to school, understand, enjoy, learn, it's not even about having better grades. It's about seizing the opportunity to be there a bit more. I have lots of extracurricular opportunities in school, which I have there, but I know I can seize a bit more. So basically what I want to do better this year is, like, it's the same thing of your hours. Like, you have the spare 8 hours that you did not have last year, you're going to spend. Now I have spare 8 hours in my mind, which I want to invest in the other things that I couldn't really pay attention to last year, you know?
So is that like, do you want to like read a book?
It's not even about reading a book. Es lo que te digo. O sea, es como, now that I have space the space of my thoughts, now I can change for the space of paying attention in the class and remembering it.
Okay. So being more efficient and present.
Being more present. That's what I want to do right this year. Y también aplica para my relationship. O sea, it was a process that evolved during last year. Y bueno, mi relación fue creciendo, así como mi mente también fue como being more at ease. And this year, I think right now I'm at my peak of ease. And it doesn't mean it's going to stay like that. I'm going to have ups and downs as every mental related type of situation. But I have more time to simply enjoy, you know?
Yeah.
And that's something that's been really hard for me last year. O sea, el año pasado, sentarme a disfrutar was absurdly hard. O sea, no podía. Como que there always had to be something bothering me.
Yeah.
Y todavía me pasa muy a menudo, pero I have moments of realization and of gratitude way more often now than I used to have last year.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean,
so eso
really.
es lo que tengo que trabajar. Pero that's why I wanted to talk about comebacks, because this past year taught me a lot about myself, about a bit of life, because I think life is a very broad, complex idea. It's what we talked about before. It's a replicating effect. It's gonna be good for me, but it's also gonna be very good for the people around me, because it means that I can be more emotionally available. I can also be more loving and, you know, enriching other people around me instead of draining their energy.
Yeah, the better that you are, you make the world around you exponentially better.
Exacto.
And I agree. I'm going to work on my plan this year is to get as good as I can with friendships in a different way. Mm-hmm. I'm the type of person that you meet and you can say everything to. I'm a person that when you meet, like mm-hmm. I'm very good at like giving confidence. And this year I'm trying to create friendships little by little, just, mm-hmm. you know, with consistently being there. And food, I eat more than I should. And I'm trying to eat intuitively and hear myself when I don't want to eat more. And exercise, because I've always been a good exerciser, but last year I didn't do that very well. Mm-hmm. So here comes the kid. He's coming back. I like that. Yeah?
Sí.
Welcome. Oh, sorry. Thank you for listening to us once again. And
we're very happy to be back.
Yeah, we're not going to say welcome again, because another hour of episode would be too much, I think, for both of us.
And we're glad that you're part of our comeback.
We'll see you again here. We're going to be available on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you get your podcasts from. But also, we will be doing season 2 starting on Mondays. Thank you very much.
And remember,
no one gets away with anything. That was awesome.
Yes, it was huge.